So it is Thursday, the 18th of May, 2023. This is episode 2 of the 45 Day Show. I'm just going to turn something down. And being the second show, I've got 3 more guests. So coming up later, we've got AdeyP DJ, who's going to be talking about the Big Weekender Pt.3 that we've just done, a 3-day mental health awareness raid train for Calm. It was a big success, but we'll be talking about that and talking about further events. Then we've got Double P, who's also done mental health raid trains, was inspiration for part of my journey, and had won an award at the 45 Day Awards. But before that, we have a brilliant DJ. I always love having him on the streams, especially when he does 45 Raiders or any of the themed things, because the records he's got and the records he comes out with just blow me away each and every time. He's an amazing DJ. It's his 45th birthday. Just had it. He's having a party in Swindon on Saturday, so we're going to talk about that. But without further ado, here is Matt Baila. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a bit of a sort of whirlwind few weeks with 45 Day and lots of other stuff going on, but it's been cool. Sam Tweaks is already in with the jokes. I love being blown away. We're gonna see him in person on Saturday. Fantastic time we're gonna have with him, I imagine.
The puns will be ready as always with Sam.
He's always ready. We've obviously had you on 45 Raiders and stuff like that, but you haven't been a guest on a show yet. So the first thing I always ask my guest is who first got them into music. So was it, sort of brothers, sisters, parents, siblings, friends? Who was it who sort of first got you into music?
Well, music was all around me. My dad's a drummer, so I just grew up, and he's a big music lover. So just grew up. We used to have music on at tea time. The music would be louder than than anything else. So
right,
it was just all around me. And then I was playing drums and involved in bands and all kinds of stuff from quite a young age. And then got into hip hop basically as a young kid, 11, 12 years old. Like a lot of people, I guess, of my sort of generation record wise. Just found it through kids at school, heard different things. And back in those days, it would be like swapping tapes,
Yeah.
And so actually, even before that, it's funny with the 45 thing, my dad's from London originally. And so we would go up to London on my birthday and I would buy 45s, just whatever chart stuff when they used to be on the wall in, Woolworths or whatever it was.
How old were you then?
And that was young. That was like, probably 11, 12, something like that.
Okay.
And then
yeah. I mean, it's good that you've still got that memory. 45s, obviously, we've sort of gone full circle and we're back to it again. But it's interesting that you remember sort of buying them, and I think we're of that sort of generation that maybe that's why we're into vinyl quite so much, because we're of that generation where it was the main musical format around us.
Well, it's funny because I bought the singles before I was sort of into hip hop, or just around that time. Got into hip hop, and then another guy, actually a DJ called Robbie D, who does sort of drum and bass stuff now, but he had decks. And then when we come back from school on the way home, we go to his house, and he was obviously DJing with vinyl at the time. That was, if you DJ'd, you had to use records.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
And so, would watch him spinning 12 inches, obviously, because that was the thing of the time, having the a cappella, the instrumental, hip hop 12s. And so then that got me into wanting to DJ, and if you wanted to DJ, you had to buy records. So it was, that's the way it was back then, obviously.
Yeah. And what about you then? When did you first get into DJing?
Yeah, so like I say, hip hop was the first thing I got into, and at that era in Swindon, we had some sort of OG guys from the 80s that had been through the whole thing from breaking and everything else. So I kind of got into it that way. I was actually rapping, beatboxing, and breaking, doing all of those elements from quite young. I was in a crew called the Scarecrows. We did like the 96 B-Boy Championships, 97, 98, and so on and so on.
Oh.
So I kind of was dabbling in everything, because in those days, if you were into hip hop, part of that was taking part in everything. So you'd have a go at graph, you'd have a go at breaking, and then DJing was expensive because you needed to have turntables.
Yeah. You can do the rest of it relatively cheaply, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. So rapping and beatboxing, we were doing that in the park for free, and breaking, obviously. And then, I also, back in those days, we used to do a lot of trades. So around my mates, we would swap, like, I was able to swap some Sound Lab belt drives for like a Mega Drive or a Master System,
Okay.
So it was in
Interesting.
the era
Yeah.
where we kind of swapped because we didn't really have the money to buy stuff. So that's
Yeah.
how I first started, really, was getting these belt drive turntables, and then just having a few records. But for me, I wasn't the best DJ. There's a guy called Para from Swindon, DJ Para, which some people may know from Breaking Bread and lots of other things. And so he was always kind of the scratch DJ and was really good from quite an early age. So I had decks, I had records, but I just participated like with all the other elements of hip hop. It wasn't like my main thing until further down the line.
Okay, cool. Now, a couple of things. So, Double P says that you taught Minimal P to breakdance at the Lydiard Festival.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a stretch to get on the floor these days, but yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the next thing I was going to say is obviously we have Sideshow Mall, who does a lot of breaking on his streams.
Yeah.
I haven't yet seen you doing any breaking on your streams. Is that going to come
No,
later?
I must have officially retired around 98, I reckon. So, to be honest, I was never that good anyway, but I was part of the crew. I did my bit. I took part, but yeah.
Yeah. And Sam's saying, surely you stretch before you hit the floor. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's sort of when you start getting into DJing. I assume that then eventually led into a bit more of a passion and sort of getting out there and DJing gigs.
Yeah, so I went to uni at Manchester Met, and once I went up there, I took my decks and records with me, and then before you know it, obviously on the uni campus there was lots of events going on, and the disco or whatever as they called it on campus, and so they used to run like a sort of, the main room was like a sort of gabba techno night,
Right.
in that era. And someone once like asked me, "Oh, come and DJ records in the quiet bar, the chill out bar." So we did that, and I'm playing hip hop and funk and whatever else. And then that ended up becoming the main room over time, and the other
Right.
room became the smaller room. And
Yeah.
at uni, I started getting more and more gigs. I had played out a little bit, even as young as sort of 15, 16, but just local spots and events and stuff. And then, from uni, I started playing out on my own. And then after that, we started running nights in Oxford. There was a guy that ran a night, Gabs, called Blunted in Oxford, and it was
Right.
like all the UK hip hop of the time. So Task Force, For Life Cypher,
Wow.
Kalashnikov, all these guys. So we would be the support act for a lot of those acts in that era. So I started playing out regularly in Oxford, again with DJ Para. So we went as Para and Baila in this era, sort of late 90s, early 2000s. And then that progressed to me and Para kind of doing lots of 3-deck sets and stuff, and then putting out mixtapes. We put out some mixtapes around that era, some of which did quite well, got picked up by kind of Hip Hop Connection and stuff, and like Yoda featured on an early one. And so we do that kind of cut and paste style mixtapes, playing out, supporting a lot of UK hip hop nights and funk nights, and then Breaking Bread nights in London, and so on and so forth. And it just progressed from there, basically, with the DJing side of things.
Yeah, that's wicked. I mean, Breaking Bread especially. Skeg's been a big supporter of 45 Day from the start, and he did a live stream, and he's been on interviews and stuff. So yeah, I mean, big shout out to Breaking Bread and all those other people you shouted out. Cool. So then it's just sort of progressed. And when did the 45s bug? I know you said obviously you buying them when you were a young age, but when did the 45s bug sort of take you in terms of DJing?
Yeah, so like you say, did it from very early, but then hip hop was all about 12s. So we just into 12s, buying 12s. And then from that, like most people, got into the samples, started buying albums heavily and looking for samples, hunting for breaks and library records. A bit of the story that you maybe don't know is that, so after that, I ended up creating a 2-man theatre show, hip hop comedy show.
Wow.
That I ended up touring for pretty much 10 years. With another guy called Joey D, a B-boy. So we toured this show all over the UK and then all over Europe. And so that was before we opened Baila. And so through that time is when I started getting real heavy into digging, because we were going all over the world basically. And every time we went to a venue, we'd spend the day digging. And so I was picking up mainly, again, albums and 12s, but started picking up 45s here and there. And I think the catalyst really for the 45s was probably DJ Format, I would say.
Right. Yeah.
We booked him for a gig in Swindon before Baila opened, so probably 10, 11 years ago, something like that. And me and Ross were still playing albums and 12s, you know, on that type of thing. And Format did a full 45 set with loads of records that I had no idea were on 45, you know, from hip hop ones to rare breaks that I thought were only on albums. And that was a big eye opener in terms of like, oh wow, like, you know, I already had a collection of 45s, but nothing crazy.
Right.
And when I kind of saw what was out there, you know, it was a bit of a like, wow, it was a bit of a moment. Yeah.
And I guess that was what, about 10, 11 years ago, you reckon?
I think something like that. I'm actually in Funky Diabetic's house here, who's to the left of me, so I'm just checking with him for dates because I'm not too great on that. But
I'm going to remember.
Yeah, our place was open for 8 years and it's been closed a year, so it was before that. So yeah, definitely 10, 11 years ago.
Do you think, obviously 45s seem to be getting bigger. I don't know if that's because we're finding DJs who are playing 45s more because there's more of a community. But did you think that it has completely skyrocketed in the last sort of few years?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Even from then to now, you know, from my perspective anyway, yeah, it's obviously huge, especially with all the new releases, the Juno and all this kind of stuff, the amount of stuff that's coming out on 45. I think personally, you know, the tipping point, you know, as people have sort of said DJ wise, everyone was carrying 12s and lugging crates. Then Serato became a thing. And obviously now you could DJ without records. Everyone went laptop. And then after a few years of Serato and the laptop, people started getting bored of that, especially watching DJs and even DJing. And so people wanted to play records again, but no one wanted to carry the heavy crates. So the next obvious move, switch to 45s. You can still play records, but now you can take 200 over the shoulder. And it suddenly became a viable thing, you know. And then I think the resurgence of that, people doing 45 nights. Obviously, there's lots of famous nights from back in the day that specified 45 only. Then all the new artists and all the edit artists and everyone else caught wind of that, and then now everyone's pressing on 45 because people would much rather buy the 45 than the 12 from a DJ perspective, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got a lot of these 45s DJs in here, so I'm going to give them a bit of a shout out. We've got Double P coming up later. We've got Sam Tweaks. We've got DJ Fade. We've got AdeyP also coming up later. We've got Andre, DJ One of a Kind. And so thanks everyone for joining us, and live cast as well, Edwin as well, who puts out my podcast. So do you think then there was another jump when sort of Twitch came about? And so more people who perhaps not really into the 45 scene suddenly saw a lot more people doing it and got into it. Do you think that's also had a bit of a resurgence? Oh, and Scotty Boy's on.
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? Obviously, what you're doing with 45 Day and everything like that, and obviously, like you said, when you started doing the 45 Raiders and getting us to do these specific sets on 45, like, you know, digging for certain pockets. You know, like I did a flexi disc one, and then there was like soundtracks. You did the space one recently. I think that is making people more interested in going, oh, there's so much on 45. You know, if you don't already come from a 45 tradition, obviously you had the deep funk thing, the brain freeze thing is obviously massive with the Shadow and Cut Chemist in that era. And then I remember buying all the Big Daddy and magazines back in the day that were sort of heavily focusing on 45s. So I guess you had that. Obviously you got the original, the reggae and the selected.
Exactly. That's the thing. It goes back so far, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, sort of reggae and rock and roll and funk, you know, sort of.
But there was definitely like that resurgence in the early 2000s when it became, you know, hook and sling going for 50 quid and all of that. Like there became that wave. And then I think that died off. And now we're back again in this full circle wave of 45s. But again, there is that confirmation bias of like, if you're only playing 45s surrounded by people who play 45s and you're into that, you know, for us, it's like the biggest thing going. But whether that translates.
I know it's interesting when I had Mojax on the show, and you know we were talking about how niche 45s is, but he was saying it's not in the music industry. It's not just 45s, because he was saying like even DJ equipment. So he goes to NAM and all these massive places, and the DJ bit is a tiny little corner, effectively, of this absolutely massive thing. So even to the music industry, he was saying that we are still, as DJs, whether we play digital, whatever, we're still really small. We just think we're bigger than we are because this is our lives and we're out DJing and spinning and all the rest of it.
I mean, I had a conversation recently with another DJ who does the digital thing or whatever. And it's like, you know, there's always the debate, oh, digital, you know, 12s, 45s, you know, purist, not all this kind of stuff. And, you know, as I sort of thought about it more recently, obviously it's personal preference. But for me, it's just like I get excited, you know, by digging up 45s, finding things that I never knew existed, or finding brand new songs like I've done over the last few days. Obviously, for my birthday, I've been going hard in a few record shops. And so coming across stuff and the act of like actually playing them now, I find it very difficult going on to 12s. I'm so used to the 45. For me, it's way more fun and way more exciting across the board, from collecting to DJing with them, you know, to everything to do with that. For me, is way more fun than digital or anything else. So that's why I do it. You know, I'm not saying
Now, is it? I mean, obviously, there's the whole thing of 12s are longer and you have to carry them about. But is it also because of how short the songs are on a 45? So by the time you put that one on, you've got to be thinking, what's the next one, and have it ready. Do you think that it just makes you present while you're DJing?
Yeah, definitely. For sort of 4 or 5 years, I was doing a weekly residency, and it's like 4.5, 5 hour set every Friday or every Saturday. And I occasionally did the digital thing, and you use so much time on your hands. You're scrolling through the laptop. You know, it's a totally different thing when you got 5 boxes of records and 4.5 hours to kill. It's just it's non-stop. It's a workout. You're looking at the next record. You're constantly working, and you're active. You're engaged. And so for me personally, I prefer my DJ sets when I'm playing off 45s, you know, and that's why I've kind of like now gone all in on that, really.
I think, I mean, obviously we'd spoken a bit before, but I think when we met first was when I came up to Swindon it was like the closing party of Baila, Coffee and Vinyl. So you've sort of alluded a little bit about the shop. So tell us about the shop, you know, how it was and how it sort of progressed. And obviously, sadly, it couldn't end up being there in the end.
Yeah. So, like I say, before from uni, I was basically just performing, you know, as an actor, and we did the theatre show. I did that for quite a long time, and then when that all kind of came to a close, we did a second show and a few other things. Kind of finished after, like I say, 10 years or so, and I ended up starting what started as a record shop and coffee shop with my brother-in-law, called Baila Coffee and Vinyl in Swindon. And we, like you said, we started as a record shop that did coffee, and then within a year we got a license to sell alcohol. And then pretty soon after that, the records kind of diminished until we ended up stopped doing the record shop and just focused on the bar and the coffee. Just because of Swindon, really, it was just we couldn't make the record shop wasn't viable. And again, this is like 8-9 years ago, when it wasn't necessarily as popular as vinyl is now. Looking at HMV, you know, in the sort of 2 for £80, it's like unbelievable how much LPs have come up.
It's bonkers, isn't it? You know, and it's crazy that HMV still exists, because like there never was one in my town in Eastbourne, and then suddenly it's there, and you go in and there is vinyl. It's not vinyl I would buy, but you're looking at these prices and you're just like you say,
it's crazy.
Like 45. I mean, I know we pay a lot for 45s, but we're using them, we're playing with them, we're doing sets, we're streaming, we're gigging, and all the rest of it. People are buying them like a 40 quid record that they might listen. I don't know. It's not like the old days where you'd buy a record and you'd listen to it constantly. There's so much choice out there. How often are you going to listen to a new album?
It is interesting. I think there are definitely people talk about a resurgence and all that, but there are definitely people out there in comparison to when we opened the record shop. You know, it's way more popular, I would say. But yeah, so from that we kind of moved into the bar, and then we started putting DJ nights on, and it really kind of took off from that perspective. So we had all our favorite DJs, DJ Format, Mr. Thing, John Stapleton, Ashley Beadle, some of the big disco guys, Sean P, and so on in a space of like 60 people, you know, quite a small, intimate.
It was a great little venue. And what's interesting, thinking about that now, and obviously naming all those people, is before we sort of connected on Twitch or 45 Day or whatever, I remember seeing your posts about this and seeing, you know, these amazing DJs like Format and people like that playing in Swindon. I'm like, okay, that's not too far. So it's been there in the periphery. So it's great to have finally connected and to have played there. Like, you know, the problem is, and we have record shops down here, and they start off as record shops, like you say, but because the margins are quite small on records, certainly new records, it means you have to have something else going on, don't you? Like a coffee shop or a bar or a bookshop or a clothes shop, because that seems to be the way most record shops are going now.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we always wanted it to be like a sort of happening, like a place where things went down, because in our town, we're just very underrepresented. It's mainly kind of mainstream bars, mainstream events, and there was nothing, there were no places that you could put nights on really regularly. No one was interested. So the only way to do it is to do it yourself. I spoke to Andre, one of a kind, about this recently, you know,
Yeah.
and he's on the same tip, you know, if people aren't supporting, you got to do it yourself. And so that's what we did. We wanted a hub where like-minded people could come and hang, have a coffee, talk records, you know, put on events, whether that was bands, poetry nights, whatever it was. And so we did that for a long time. Acoustic nights, we kind of did everything really. We had yard sales where we had a shop called the Forum in Swindon come and do streetwear sales and stuff like that, and just had it open to the community. And then it created this night spot eventually, which was kind of the late night spot that everyone went to, where you were going to hear a real eclectic mix of music, mainly on vinyl. And again, now that's gone. Unfortunately, we're kind of back to square one. There isn't a place in the town that really caters for that kind of thing again.
And it's hard work, isn't it? And like, I think part of it is once you've built something up and then it's sort of gone, it's quite hard to then start from scratch and build it up again. So, you know, if someone else came along to you with that idea and they were running it all, then you'd get involved. But it's not something you're going to be able to do yourself.
It's really. You know, people think it's a dream, you know, having your own place and all that kind of
hard
stuff.
work.
Yeah, if anyone knows, it's 24/7. You know, there's always something to do, whether it's staff, you know, whether it's the dishwasher breaks. You know, the real kind of side of it behind the scenes is a lot of work, putting on the nights, getting people in the door. You know, all this kind of stuff. It's a lot of graft, and like I say, we did 8 years. Kind of give it everything we had. Pandemic happened, post-pandemic. You know, everyone knows the story, and we just that was kind of it at the end of the run. But you know, like I say, we did it. I'm really glad we did it, and for what it was, when it was, and those people that came, they you know, it was appreciated.
And it's you know, and it's there, and it's a little bit of history in the 45s community and the DJ community. So yeah, it's definitely worth doing these things, isn't it? So I believe it was Tuesday was your birthday.
Yes.
And it's your 45th. And as seems to be the tradition with 45s DJs, a 45th party has to follow. And obviously we've had to do it on live streaming. Usually we did Sam Tweaks, we had mine, there's been lots of others, J1 Sons. But you're doing it in real life, which is great that we've got to this stage where we can do that. So that's coming up on Saturday. Tell me a bit more about what's going to happen.
Yeah, so you know, I'm treating the 45th like the 50th. You know, the 45 is the date for us 45 heads. So I had to do it big. So that's the plan. We're doing a day party. So it's 1 p.m. till 9 p.m. So running all the way through the afternoon into the early evening. It's going to be at the Hop Kettle Brewery in Swindon. So it's a big brewery out there from a local brewer, really great guys, you know, craft beer and all that kind of stuff. And so we've got a full lineup, 10 plus DJs, a few guest surprises on the night. Definitely, I can say that some of your favorite Twitch DJs who spin 45s will be spinning at this event. So yeah, and a few guest surprises. We've got DJs spinning. I did want to do the whole 45 minutes, you know, 45 DJs. We'll see if we can make that happen. And then we've got Poor Boy's Specialty Coffee Shop, also from Swindon, with like vegan donut, specialty coffee. And then we've got Gert Wings, famous chicken wing slingers from the Southwest, who used to also come and do pop-ups in Baila as well. They're going to be there. Also Dark Bark Barbecue, another street food pop-up from Swindon, doing tacos and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a full day, street food, beer, coffee, loads and loads of 45s. We're also saying, if you want to bring records to trade or sell and you're into 45s, bring them down. There's going to be like swap meets going on. Yeah, it's just going to be a day of records and fun.
I mean, it's definitely, I mean, we're of a certain age, 45 or over. So obviously, you know, for me, any sort of event that is good music, generally vinyl, food, good food, street food like you've done, and beer, I mean, sunshine's about the only other thing you need, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I've kept it so that, you know, it's family friendly, you know, for the first bit. So kids can come down, you know, we're going to have all that going on early. And I just thought 1 till 9, most people on a Saturday, you can do some of that. If you've got kids, you know, you've got other situations, come later, come early. And then also from the DJ perspective, because it's a big kind of, you know, it's a free event. Everyone's kind of doing it for the love, as it were. It still means that if you've got paid gigs in the evening, people can get off and do their gigs. So I just wanted to do something where people are free to pop in. We're doing a 1 box thing on the 45. So everyone's got to bring just 1 box or 1 bag and play from that for your allotted time. So I'm hoping that every DJ is going to bring their own style And that'll really be interesting because you've got 45 minutes to kind of showcase the stuff that you're into and what you do. And it's going to be a rapid, changing sets. So yeah, it should be really good.
And that's why I think if what I've experienced is if people haven't been to a 45s event before, because it is like that, because it is lots of different genres, chopping and changing, and DJs all sort of get, there's always a good vibe regardless what it is. But there's also this feeling of like, well, if I don't like this particular song, there's going to be another song that I might like further down the line. I'm not dissing any of other events, but when you've got, say, just a house night or just a funk, or not necessarily funk, but like an electronic night, I don't think it quite generates the same sort of passion for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 45s are so eclectic, and a lot of the guys that we know also do a whole bunch of genres just in their own sets.
In one set, yeah, exactly.
They're not just going to stick to a whole set of house, or if they do a whole set of house on 45, especially original 45s.
Yeah,
like we know your man Sam Tweaks and others have extensive collections on 45 of that genre. That's exciting to me, especially if they're originals. It's like, oh wow, that came out on a 45 on a jukebox. And so it makes it really cool. And like I say, for us, we've got guys that are going to be doing strictly world sets, so Turkish and Thai 45s. Then other guys that are going to just do hip hop 45s, and then exactly disco 45s. So it's like this whole mixture. And like I say, if you're not necessarily super into one guy's set, 45 minutes later or the next couple of tunes later, I like this one. Yeah, it's my style of event for sure. Even just going if I'm attending events.
Yeah. It's definitely, and it's nice being able to. Well, there's a couple of people who are over. I think Funky J's over from Australia, but unfortunately he's going to go and see the Allergies. And then Mirko, not Mirko Mission, but a different Mirko from Germany's over. And again, I was like, hey, you're in the country, come to this 45s event. It's going to be cool. Yeah. And yeah, it's going to be brilliant. And hopefully there's going to be more of these events coming up. We've got Mr. Lobs arriving in London in September, so we're doing something on the Saturday. There's like an after party I'm organising on the Sunday. We're doing stuff in Cambridge, Belfast. It's really cool to see these little pockets of 45s events happening and sort of stretching out throughout the country.
Yeah, definitely. And shout out to Jim Sharp and the Coco event that went down.
Yeah.
As a 45 thing with Mr. Thing, John Stapleton, Coco, Jim Sharp. Again, that was a great example. If we want to talk about how hype it is at the moment, the amount of 45 DJs that were there and fans of the 45 in that building, it was really, really good vibe the whole day, and everyone was just into it.
It's amazing. I didn't realize, because I remember on the night they had the video playing, I think, in the back bar. When you went to the loo, you could sort of come through and see him. But the video of that is on YouTube. So from the front thing. So, and you can see, it's really funny just watching all of us lot in the sort of background. He's seeing him doing that. And I'm like, oh, Sam Tweaks. You're sort of looking at us like, oh, Kev Clark. Oh, Mr. Thing, and it's really funny watching it. But we're all just literally just sort of, I don't know.
Eyes fixed on Coco, just watching.
It was insane, wasn't it? I think you were standing next to me, Mr. Thing, at one point, and he did something. And Mr. Thing was just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I was literally stood next to Mr. Thing through the whole set. We're next to each other, and he put on the Blues and Pants. It's like a Brazilian original 45. I think it was that one, which is super hard to get. And then he pulls out the second copy. And that's double. And me and Thing look at each other like, of course he's got doubles. It's just like there was little moments like that where we were just kind of like laughing, or just like some of the, like you say, some of the routines that he does with the Champ and stuff. Again, he's another one, sort of almost doesn't even worth saying with all the 45 guys now, but Coco's another one that again has really kind of pushed it to the forefront in terms of what you can do with 45s and bringing that back. And yeah, for sure.
It's making it a visual performance as well. Watching it is a visual performance, and he's playing with records in a way that perhaps digital DJs sort of do. I suppose, it's not the right analogy, but some of the digital DJs, who are sort of using 4 decks and sort of, again, it's the sort of animated DJ. I don't know.
I appreciate the digital stuff and the turntablism and all of that, but I guess at the core of it, I'm a digger. I'm a crate digger. So I'm interested in interesting and unusual records. And so when I see someone playing 45s and they're playing originals, for me, that's exciting, because people are, John's first set, he's playing a South African Rapper's Delight cover version that no one on the planet owns apart from him. you know, this to us nerds is exciting stuff. This is like, wow, you know, pulling stuff like that out or doing something clever with it. Not to mention how difficult it is to rock doubles of 45s or do routines of 45s. You know, when you're watching DMC sets where they've got the same track on both sides of the digital thing going crazy, some of it's cool, but I'm just not, you know, I'm just not that into it. I'd rather see, you know, even if it's just records, like John doesn't do technical stuff, but the records he plays and the finds and the discoveries, and spent his whole life, you know, researching and digging up this stuff. I want to go and hear that. I want to hear someone, you know, playing stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday. I'm looking forward to coming down and hanging out with everyone, seeing you and celebrating and hearing some great music. Just going to put the flyer up again. So it's this Saturday, starts 1 till 9. The Hop Kettle Brewery in Swindon, and yeah, as you can see, loads of really cool stuff going on. And yeah, if you're in the area, come down and see us.
And big shout out to the Funky Diabetic for letting me use his the lab. I'm in the record lab. There's thousands of 45s that side that you can't see.
I know. He showed me a video. He put his thing up, and I was like, "Are you using a fake background, or is that your real background?"
Yeah.
Colin was like, "No, it's my real background." Move the camera around, and loads more records everywhere. But yeah, in his attic, as Sam Tweak says. Right, it's been fantastic. Thank you, Matt, for joining us. It's been great to have you as a guest. We're going to move on with my next guest, but I will see you on Saturday.
Yes, big up, Criztoz. Look forward to your set, and thanks for having me on. Much appreciated.
Cheers. Take it easy, man. I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Ta-ra.
Okay, so that was Matt Baila. That was a great chat. And yes, if you're in the Swindon area, definitely come down and see us. Next up, AdeyP. It only seems like a week ago. Well, it was a week ago where we had him on the show talking about going forwards with the Big Weekender Part 3. And at that time, we were all pretty hyped. We were all pretty excited. And then it happened, and there's just been so many little moments that I've got, and I'm sure he's got hundreds of moments, and raised a lot of money for charity. Everyone played amazing sets, really good vibes. The numbers were up from last time. Yeah, a big success, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. So without further ado, we have AdeyP.
Here we go. Can you hear me? Okay, coming out. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Big up Matt as well. I was enjoying that conversation. Big up to guys that create scenes. Big up to guys that make shit happen. So big up to Matt. I didn't catch whether he's on Twitch. Is he on Twitch?
He is on Twitch. Yeah,
Okay.
Matt_Baila, and he's done. He's not a regular on Twitch, but he does amazing sets, and he's been on 45 Raiders with me and Sam. And yeah, you give him a theme, and then he goes away, and he just creates like this amazing like soundscape from all these crazy 45s that you've never heard of. But it's cool. But how are you doing? It's been a week. It's been a week since we last spoke.
Well, let me go from the bat. There's going to be plenty of times during this course of this interview that I'm going to go on one. I'm going to be ranting about a lot of different great things, but it's all positive. So just bear with me on this.
Do it.
How am I doing? I mean, on a personal thing, I mean, I'm coming down and trying to reflect on what was not only from a Twitch, from a charity point of view, from a personal point of view, one of the greatest weekends. So I'm going to start. I had an email from Calm, which I just sent to the DJs.
Okay.
Bear with me. Which sums up really, and it was just an incredible experience. Let's look at this. Okay, it's here we go, and it's from Imogen. I hope you've had a good week. I'm emailing you just to say a huge thank you from Calm for fundraising with your Big Weekender Music Festival. The 1,566, by the way, GoFundMe have taken a cheeky little bit out there. We'll go on to another thing. Right. Raised enough to fund 195 potentially life-saving calls through our helpline. An absolutely amazing achievement. In 2022, we spent 3 million minutes having these life-saving conversations, and the need for our services only continues to grow. The help we offer is only possible because of the generosity, I'm getting upset now, and commitment of people like you. So thank you for your invaluable support. Wishing you all the best. A little bit further down, but Imogen. So, yeah,
I mean, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost beyond belief. Like, so 200 calls that we've been able to allow through our giving up our time and promoting what we're doing and all the rest of it. That's just amazing.
The thing is, there's so many different variables to this weekend. So if I go on one and go from one topic to another, but even if you've reached one person, so if we look at the Twitch aspect of things, there were many aspects there where sometimes we all think about the bigger picture, but sometimes just think if you just inspire one person, if you reach one person, this is what it's all about. You know, but amidst all of this kind of desire for the fun and all the kind of drama and the amazing thing about the event, we are actually changing lives here.
Yeah.
And I've got this saying, I said it quite a lot during the course of the weekend, and excuse me, I'm going to really try not to cry during the thing because it's been an emotional week, and it was
emotional though. It definitely hit me on an emotional level as well this weekend.
But I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. I don't give a monkeys about that. So that's not a problem. But I think the thing is, for me, it's all about, it's better to have a drop in the ocean than no drop at all, because everything we do in life, we can often think, what, you know, does it matter? And I think from a community aspect of it, I was just blown away. And DJs like next level. I mean, the community aspect from a Twitch point of view was just insane.
Yeah,
like the amount of messages I received from people about how much it reached them, how much they've found new streamers, how much people opened up on different streams. Like you can't underplay the significance of events like this, because in the Twitch is all about, you know, fun and the games, but sometimes these events, they really matter. So I find it difficult to articulate. You're gonna have to guide me here, Criztoz.
I know exactly what you're saying. And I tell you what, I'd had a pretty crappy, I'd been working most of Saturday, and I'd had a pretty crappy day. I was pretty angry and I was pretty upset about some stuff. And I was like, oh God, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this on Sunday. But I just got up Sunday and I was like, no, this is really important. You know, a lot of people have put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's not about us. And I don't know, I did my set and I loved it.
By the way, Chris, you actually killed it, because the thing is, the thing is about it was like selection box. Every DJ brought something different.
Yeah.
And everything was just curated to the point. Now, by the way, this is where I do kiss my guns here, guys. I programmed that pretty damn well. You know, everything I knew what I was doing when people were DJing at certain times. But, you know, everyone was so invested in the charity, and everyone gave that little bit of reflection. They all communicate with their own community. I did encourage a lot of the international DJs to sort of provide links and information about their own local things, because it was like predominantly a UK-based charity, which we were raising money for. But it was more about a humanitarian thing, about more of a community thing, about spreading positivity, being okay with normalizing a conversation, like you just said then. Like 7:30, I didn't get asleep till about 3 o'clock in the morning on the Friday, because I tried to catch as many DJs as I could. I woke up with about 20 minutes to go. 7:30, didn't really know what I was going to play, and I had the most amazing stream response. And God, again, gonna go now, because it's like the community, every DJ, by the way, I mean literally every DJ, I'm not just blowing smoke up their ass, they were just killed it. And your little clips, by the way, which is incredibly embarrassing, I was just like, I loved it, but like, I mean, I just please don't do it again. But I loved it.
That was something that I was like, right, okay. I got up on the Sunday and I was like, right, I've got an hour. I can get this done, and then it will just add that extra little thing. And you know, it's to be fair, right? So going forwards, right? There's going to be more of these, you know, definitely. Going forwards, we need, I think, to create little adverts like that. So rather than getting all the gaming adverts that we get stuck with on Twitch, we also use that to our advantage and say, right, you know, here's a little clip of you saying what the whole thing's about, and we give that to every streamer, and they drop it in their set. You know, it doesn't need to be long, 30 seconds, a minute, you know, just so then when people are watching it, they know who's behind it, what it's all about. And I think that's the way we can hopefully start to sort of grow.
I mean, for me personally, it's one of those things which I lack the skills, I lack the amount of concentration, the time, and I would really benefit from those sorts of suggestions or those sorts of community help, because that would only promote the streams more. But if you talk about numbers, I mean, we had some big raids during the course of the weekend. But even the ones we didn't have raids, like introducing new communities there. We had the drum and bass community, we have the GFF community. We obviously want to try and even include the 45 community. But the more it becomes more of a collective, the more that actually, as a Twitch collective, you know, it's going to grow. And I think new numbers, new people come in as a result of that. So the numbers were really, really good. I think what really humbled me more than the more established, there was a lot of DJs that people didn't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to embarrass certain people by doing this, but there was a lot of humble people that people don't really know. And the greatest thing about introducing new peeps, it's like they'd like maybe have 10, 15, 20 viewers, but like suddenly they're going to find new fans and they're suddenly validated in that regard. So if you take away the mental health aspect of it, you talk about the person that's putting their time, coming into Twitch every single week and doing that deserve those sort of attention, so to speak, because they're skilled people that really care about what they do. And from a point of view, which for me, that really means a lot to me, because as DJs or people that creators, it's a very thankless task sometimes, but there's so many beautiful, talented people that you just want to go, look at this, you know, this person's great. And, you know, I was just blown away. I mean, it's been a very difficult week for me personally. But I think when I reflect on it, this is life-changing from a personal point of view, but also something we can grow significantly. And for anyone out there that thinks, oh, £1,566, you know, okay, it's not life-changing, but you don't understand that that's saving lives. And if we only save one life, too many people succumb to this whole mental health illness. And it's my mission now. I'm getting on one, but my mission now is if I can reach just 5, 10 people, then this makes it all worthwhile. This isn't about us. This isn't about promoting our own profile on Twitch. None of that shit matters when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, it's good to have fun. We had lots of fun, but we are making a difference, guys. You know?
But it does make a difference. And I think for me, the sort of highlight when my heart was melting hearing this stuff. So obviously I did my set and then we raided into AdeyP. And AdeyP had been the person who came to me and told me what his son had said about his depression. Basically sent a message and said to Criztoz and Fat Wax, thank you for helping my dad through his depression, through live streaming, all that. And then that led to doing part of my journey, the mental health show. And then when they did their set, it was AdeyP and Minimal P. And he was sort of saying things like, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. He's like 10. I think it might be 11, 10 or 11. And he's talking about this stuff. He's saying, thank you, everyone, for being part of this community. It's a great community. You've helped my dad. You've got no idea how much him changing has helped me. He's helped my mum. You know, I was like welling up, you know, and then, you know, everyone can feel that and they're doing the positivity and he's getting a hype train and it's getting up to like level 1, 2, and AdeyP's like, oh, I've never been up to like level 3. And then it's like 6. And then, you know, Minimal P. But for me, the fact that we have connected in some way with a 10 or 11-year-old child, firstly talking about mental health and also him having the understanding of what mental health is about, to know that his dad had depression and to know that through a community and through love and support that can be helping someone. I mean, that's going to, you know, that for me was like, wow, you know, if we don't do anything else, that is something we've done, you know, through playing records, you know, as far as I'm concerned, and just talking.
Oh, that, yeah, you know, that's a trigger there, mate. I mean, you really know to get a man emotional there. That I'm gonna try and get through this. That was incredible. As a father myself, as a person who understands with AdeyP as well, like that was what it was about. It's comedy. Minimal P is comedy.
Yeah,
that really touched me from a point of view where it's hard to articulate, because otherwise I'm going to lose the plot. But there was such a balance between the fun. That's an insight there when children have got that comes from a sense of experience. And if we can teach, I said the same with my children and gone through it. They don't get to see so many of the successes I have in my life. But one thing I will travel through is like the belief in themselves. The vulnerability is a strength, and I want to teach especially men. I don't want to, you know, forget about women in this thing, but men especially. The vulnerability, it's a difficult thing, and I think the next generation need to feel more secure. It's really hard for me to get through this, by the way, guys.
No,
but I will say, sorry, Criztoz, but like also John the Hat, I got to give a particular thing for, because he started a set off where he played artists where they were male suicide, and there was a collective sense of, you know, we're not just bigging up. There was a collective sense of everyone felt at that moment the emotional tie to what we're doing, and those moments are just they're sacred in my book.
Yeah. It was amazing. And I think the other thing is, when I was listening to that set, I was driving over to Brighton with my daughter, and we had Twitch on in the car, and we were listening about this, and obviously she was hearing what he was saying, and then it opened up conversations that I had with her about, you know, why we're doing this, about mental health, and about helping other people and the community, and, you know, the giving in charity. So I think as well, for me, it's that sort of level of, you know, and the same for you probably, you know, as a father and a daughter and a father and child, having these discussions, if we can have them now when they're children, hopefully we can have them for the rest of our lives. That's got to be the aim, isn't it? To be able to talk to your children.
And also people, like, you'd be surprised how many people of a certain age have come to me that have seen the world, their experience, but they still need it too. You know, like, just because people seem like they're okay, like you could be in your 50s and your 60s, your 70s, they still need someone to talk to. And sometimes I say to them, your life does not need to be a catastrophe. Things will be okay, but it's still okay to say, do you know what? Things are a bit pants. And I think that's the thing. We don't always need to be at rock bottom to be able to say, do you know what? I need to just vent. I just need someone to talk to. And I think the thing is, we often think that it needs to be that place. So young, middle-aged, old, it doesn't matter. We have a responsibility as humanity to be kinder. And if you could just do one little thing, kinder to yourself first and foremost. Self-love and self-worth is very, very important. Without that, you can't be useful to anyone. But it's making steps. It's not thinking that, you know, it's easy, because it isn't. But at the same time, that's part of the struggle. Part of the struggle is having those moments when you overcome that, or when you come out of that moment. But when you're in those moments, it's important to remember that you've got support, whether it be professional support through services like Calm, whether it's your mate. I know, like, one of my best mates now, he lives in Pennsylvania. I've never met this girl, right? But literally, she's the one person I will talk to, and she'll listen. And it's just having people that will listen is very, very important. And I think the one thing, I've got screenshots and so many messages from people all around the world where hopefully that's resonated with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's important. Like, sorry, Chris, that's the last point. So that's
right.
Yeah. It's like, it's very important for me to say this is a platform, and it's important that we recognize these moments, because this will be the last time we comment on it. I did a stream on Sunday, and normally I'm like DJing and I kind of talk a little bit, but I was talking a lot. I was like interrupted a lot of songs. I played for like 5 hours. And when we streamed out, rated out, I thought there'd be like 10 people. I thought, nah. And I kept saying about, these are the moments, this is going to go. Big Weekender will go, but this is the moment to talk, like it is now. And there was like 40 odd people still there. And it just reaffirmed this whole point. Once this interview's over, and once the Big Weekender's there, it's important to remember why we're doing it. This isn't just about me. It's nothing to do with me, to be fair. It's about us and what we're doing as a Twitch community, and it's fucking important. And you guys are legends, by the way. All right, it's done, mate.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. It is amazing what's been achieved, and also having that community, and also, like you say, talking. And, you know, maybe that is the way to go. You know, we do a little bit more talking, and there's nothing wrong with talking during your sets, because part of why people tune into Twitch, I think, is to engage and interact with the person. If they just want to listen to mixes, I'll just go on to Mixcloud. But obviously the allure of Twitch is you can have a conversation, and you just never know. Like you say, you know, you're talking about this stuff. You don't know, first of all, who's in the room, who's listening, but you also don't know what impact that is having on them. And like again, going back to Minimal P, it's not just one person, is it? It's the impact mental health has on all these other people around you, and families and friends and all the rest of it. And if we can get some positivity going, then that's going to feed into quite a lot of people very quickly, really.
Absolutely, it's like a chain reaction. And I think the thing is, the difference between what I want to emphasize with that stream is I was very vulnerable about my own scenario. It was my mum's birthday the next day, and I think what it was those moments there where you cherish that particular moment. It was like an excessive amount of talking. I love talking on my stream, but what I'm talking about there was the vulnerability with what we were talking about, and using and being safe and secure enough in my own self to be able to share my stories that hopefully will be able to resonate. Because I think the thing is, we all have maybe a character, or maybe a kind of a profile that we're trying to maintain, and that's very good, and that's all good and well. But the thing is, in those moments when we've raised loads of money, we've connected with loads of people, that was the moment for me to share that. And for me, that was probably one of my highlights, because that was a freedom. That was a freedom from the inner dialogue that we have in our head of going, you know, maybe I shouldn't say that. People can choose not to say what they want to say. It's not about that, but I'm just saying, having yourself the freedom to go there if you want to go there.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like, if you feel safe enough, creating a safe enough space that if you want to go there, or people want to go there, they can. Doesn't mean you have to. Doesn't mean you have to elaborate and go too deep, but just allowing yourself to just, you know, be a little less fearful of what people think of you.
Yeah, and I think Twitch does give you that ability, doesn't it? Like you say, it's one with, you know, you're already in a state where you're able to play whatever music you like. So yes, you should be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And if there's things that are relevant to a particular day or a particular stream or a particular thing, then yeah. But again, I think it's also, like we said before about doing little adverts and stuff, it's also important to talk about this stuff again, you know, further down the line. You know, when you know, someone says something in the chat in terms of mental health, you're like, right, okay, we did this amazing event, and you know, go and watch it here. That's the other thing. I think we need to try and capture some of this somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know how many of the streamers recorded their sets, but obviously maybe send, you know, we'll talk about this later, but maybe send a message out, see who recorded it, and if we can sort of condense that down to, like, say, I don't know, a minute per streamer or something like that, or their choice minute, put all that together, that's then something else that's a bundle of joy.
Absolutely.
And positivity that people will.
It's like a movement. I mean, we need to create a movement. I mean, the thing is, whether people jump on my purpose here, that's, you know, yet to be seen. But my purpose now is the kind of whole thing about this needs to be a movement for me. And this is what I'm going to do, regardless of whether it's just me and 4 friends doing it, whatever, anyone's jumped aboard. This is what I'm going to do. So any help, any people that are going to come and get on board, that we can make it more accessible, look sharper, anything else like that, I'm always welcome to. But this is what I'm going to do now. This is essentially my purpose on Twitch as a bigger, you know, perspective.
Yeah. So when's the next one?
Well, I think I don't want to people are hang on a minute, like October. I want to try and do it like maybe around the winter time, because winter time is a particularly tough time for a lot of people. Especially the isolation that comes from, especially in the UK and a lot of countries where there's not as much sun and light. I think that would be the thing. I think I don't want to overplay. I would say twice a year. I think the fact it was summertime and it was sunny made a massive difference to people's moods. I got to give another shout out as well. What I remember, there's she's not a streamer, Paradise Breaks.
Okay, yeah.
Was incredible. I mean, she did so much promotion outside of Twitch. She was such a support of so many streams. It was insane amount of, you know, I could shout 100 people, and I'm sorry if I missed that, but I just need to say that to her, because she was so consistent along the streams and such generous support. But as were so many people, and I feel like bad for not calling them out, but everyone contributed, whether you were like a mod, big up to the mod, big up to the DJs, the donors, just everyone contributed in their own way, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
It was amazing. And yeah, big shout out to the mods, the viewers, people who aren't necessarily on Twitch but will repost it on Instagram. And again, it's that, isn't it? Getting this little bigger community to be sort of spreading the word about it, but giving them the content to do it. You know, if we can get like a minute video showing what it's all about, and then people can share that around.
There was like there's the little things, and there's the conversation that you see from afar. Like there were so many people that inputted. It's such a little thing that you contribute towards, whether the streamers play, and that gives them encouragement. It's the way that you interact with a new group when you go into. You don't know them, but you're all talking. Everyone played a part, and do not for 1 second minimize your contribution. Whether or not you didn't have to give money, you really made this a great weekend.
Oh, anyone just tuning in, you know, at the minimum, you know, or even just sharing it or something. Yeah, but big shout out. Double P's here, so I'm going to add him in, and hopefully we can hear him. Can you hear us, Double P?
Managed to get through and not cry then.
Yo,
Double P, say something. Can you hear us?
Here he is.
yeah, can you hear me?
We can. You're a little bit delayed, but we can
hear me.
We can.
Yes. Big up Tez, big up DJ P1, big up to the beat, big up K Clark.
Yeah, we've got lots of people in. Double P, how are you feeling?
Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
hey, yeah,
dun.
good.
Yeah. Did you have a good set on Sunday?
Is it rubbish?
It was rubbish.
Yeah, man.
I'd
Is
say
it?
that
Can you hear me all
it was
right?
definitely one of my highlights. That
Or is it
set. I
crap?
mean, it must have been pretty good for you guys as well.
It was wicked, mate. It was very emotional. I know that. Big shout to AdeyP though for putting it all on.
Yeah, it was
Thanks,
amazing.
brother. Thank
It
you.
was amazing. Adey, I'm going to take you off for a minute just to see if we can get Double P's sound doing. But thanks so much, man, and we will speak. Right, Double P. Let's see if that's any better. Can you hear me a bit better now?
There we go. Is that better?
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
better.
think so. There's
That
not so
better?
much of a delay. It was like I was asking you a
Hey!
question and then you were frozen. But that was amazing on Sunday, mate. Truly.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I knew James was going to stream with me anyway, but I didn't know it was going to be that. I wasn't planning on it. Not planning on it. I wasn't thinking it would get that much of a flow and quite emotional, and it just stuff was just coming out of him. It's like, oh my god, it was quite heartfelt.
I mean yeah, definitely the stuff he was saying. I mean, obviously, you know that it has affected your relationship, and obviously your situation, depression has improved. But have you heard him talk about it like that before?
Not like that, no. Not no. I don't know really. We do talk about things, but to talk about on a microphone in front of other people, completely different, isn't it? An aspect,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and that
But
must
yeah,
have made you, very proud. Firstly, as a father, but also secondly, is how far you've come in the last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Sorry, I don't know if I'm talking or it's delayed.
It's all right. There is a bit of a delay, but just answer the question and just keep going, and then I'll just sort of talk as well. But yeah, so firstly, as a father, I guess that made you really proud.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, I mean, he's quite open-minded, isn't he? And they say 11 years old, he's just turned 11. So for somebody to be that switched on at that young age and be able to openly talk on a microphone and DJ, and it's confidence, isn't it? It's confidence, which is great, which is something that I lacked. So for somebody of that age to have that much confidence, that much knowledge of things, and he got 2 silver medals Saturday for Taekwondo. I mean,
Yeah, he did,
it's amazing.
Congratulations.
Absolutely amazing.
But I guess, like you say, it's confidence. He's a confidence boy, young man almost. But again, it's a confidence thing that your confidence has grown, hasn't it? And as your confidence has grown, that must have also had an equal effect on his confidence.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I mean, we keep going back for the mental health, which is what a lot of people talk about. I think Twitch sometimes can be quite a daunting place for people that have got mental health issues, because they won't, they don't like being on the camera, they don't like seeing themselves, they don't like they're always thinking that they're not good enough. So there still is that aspect somewhere, I think, in me. But yeah, I mean, yeah, my confidence has grown. I mean, especially getting the award. I mean, I wasn't even expecting that.
Yeah. Well,
I was really pleased about that.
Put it up. Yeah. So there you go. 45-day awards 2023. You got most improved 45s DJ, Double P. Yeah, I mean, that was a special award, and I felt you deserved it, because I've talked openly on here and told you about how I've seen your confidence improve from like the beginning, where, you know, like everyone, you know, it's a struggle. You know, if people don't stream, it looks quite easy. Oh, you just plug a camera in, you just plug your laptop in, and then you go away. But it's quite difficult to get going. And obviously, you, like most of us, struggled at the beginning, but again, you stuck with it. And then, like most of us, you started with, like, you know, 2-3 viewers, but again, you stuck with it, and then it built up and it built up and it built up. And then, you know, you came on my talk show, and then we were like, right, let's do mental health raid. You know, you've done 4 mental health raid weekends. You know, we've raised money as well for charity. And to get to where you got to on Sunday, where you got like a level 6 hype train, you know, I mean, that's amazing,
that was just
really.
insane. Yeah, that was insane. I couldn't believe that just went somewhere where I've never seen that before. It just went mad.
Yeah,
and we're like, oh my god, you know, it's very humbling to receive that award, and it's very humbling for people to spend time in your your streams to watch you play. You know, I still look at the numbers. I shouldn't do. I've recently been looking at the numbers again, and I shouldn't do that. I should just enjoy. I think I've been focusing on numbers again, which I need to get away from. So I've turned it off. I've turned the counter off now, so I don't know how many people are there.
Yeah,
because it affects me. You know.
Yeah, but
it shouldn't.
It shouldn't, but it's only natural, isn't it, to look at numbers, and everyone sort of does it. It's basically whether you just look at it as sort of, okay, that's what that is, or whether you start letting it affect you, that, oh, there should be more people, or I should play a different song, or I should change. And that's when you start getting nervous and sort of mixing too quickly or making mistakes or whatever, you know, when you just let it go. It's that. But also, you know, there's none of us are, you know, at the end of the day, you've got, I don't know what it is, about 1,200 or close to 1,200 followers now, something like that.
Yeah, 1,200 followers now. Yeah, just
so
under
that
1,200.
is, like I was saying to Sam the other day, Sam's getting close to like 14,500 followers, but there is 1,200 people who have been through your channel at some point and liked it enough to hit follow, you know, and that I think is quite amazing.
Yeah.
You know, however many people watch you, at some point, you know, you've made someone interested enough in what you're doing to follow you, and they might come back. You know, so
I had I had come in my channel. He wasn't even on a raid event. He came in just to see me and said, "Hey mate, you doing? I like your stream because it's really loud."
Right.
You know, he doesn't normally chat. He just sits in there and doesn't say anything. And then he just said, "I like your stream because it's really loud." And I think what people were saying was it was bouncing or clipping, where I had it turned right up, but I didn't realise because I didn't have OBS showing, you know.
Yeah.
Unreal. That was on a Raiders of the Lost Ark stream. That was.
But I think what we.
But yeah, he came to.
Yeah. But what we probably forget is there's probably lots of people who tune in, who perhaps aren't that technical, so maybe don't get the emotes. And I think that's one of the things that people who first come to Twitch, they're like, I don't really understand it, all these emotes and animated emotes and things flying around and all the rest of it. So maybe there's some people who, for that, it's just too much, and so they don't get involved in the chat. They just sit back and just listen to what's going on, but still taking it all in.
Yeah.
And they're the real sort of lurkers, aren't they? You know, I mean, we all say we lurk because, you know, we're listening, but we're doing something else at the same time. But yeah, it's interesting to know who's out there, really.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like I say, I've turned the numbers off now because I do think when you're concentrating on the numbers, you do start, especially if you see them drop and then they pick back up again, and then they drop, then you pick back up again, and you're thinking, is it the music I'm playing? Is it me? Is it, you know, you start, you're trying to, you know, spinning 45s is not an easy task at all. You've got to be on point every time, you know, and, you know, you've got a very short time frame to get things right, because as soon as we already noticed in the chat, as soon as you put 145 on, you're getting the other one ready to go, and you've got to get it on whatever on the one on the so you're doing that, and what you don't want to be doing is looking at the numbers on Twitch, worrying if they're going down. So I've turned them off.
Yeah,
completely turned them off. I think
good idea, because then you can just hopefully relax
one of the
and just play.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Just DJ blind. Well, not literally, but you know.
Might be difficult.
But yeah, you couldn't
yeah.
DJ blind. There, one of the guys, I think it's Funky Vibe. He does the same thing. In Germany, he turns it off, and
Right.
he played on the raid train for AdeyP.
Yeah.
Lives in Germany. Does tattoos. Really great DJ. Really great DJ. But he gets nervous, and you know he doesn't. He gets a complex when the numbers are low. So best thing to do, them off.
Yeah. Because as long as you're having
Turn them
fun,
off.
as long as you're having fun and enjoying it, that's the main thing. And we were talking to AD about this last time on the show. It's amazing that we can just go on, and if you want to, switch your decks on, switch your streaming on, and just stream like a pop-up or whenever you want, knowing that someone in your community will come in at some point and say hello, how you doing, what you up to, you know. So it's amazing to be able to tap into that community and that friendship. I mean, has that helped you, do you think?
I mean, let's say early days was about 1 or 2 in the chat. Nowadays, when if I did a random pop-up, it'd be 15 to 20 people. I mean, if I do one before coffee and donuts on a Saturday morning, I get up and think I'm just going to jump on and do a quick half-hour or 45-minute set and raid in, and it's like 15 people come in.
Yeah,
you know, or an evening. I don't do evenings anymore. I can't be bothered.
Yeah,
too many raid trains on now.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I'm on the boom back. Is it not boom back?
When was the evening?
Check the technique.
You've done 3 raid trains this week, haven't you?
Yeah, 3 this week.
Yeah. 3. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine even just like
it does get a bit tiring.
Yeah, but can you think about a year ago? Again? Think about a year ago. Were you doing 3 raid trains a week a year ago?
No. Look, if you get 3 a month, I reckon.
Look how far things have come, you know, in just a year.
Oh God, yeah, definitely.
And that's
definitely
something else that's amazing.
Jay, when asked me to be on, J1 messaged me about the Check Technique raid train with oh my God, the names on there, Big Junkies. I'm like, what? No way. Yeah. I'm not the same league as these people, but he wanted me on there, so fair play to him.
Yeah, and it's great. It's really good, and you know that's one of the reasons you won the award. You know, because I've seen that happen, and it's been amazing to watch. And in addition, we've had sort of Minimal P sort of doing like the 45 kids and jumping on your
stream. I mean, I've got to give. Yeah, I've got to give a shout out to you know, the people that started me on this journey, and the first person that started me on DJ Gid from the SUBC. He got me 2 Stanton turntables and a mixer, and it stemmed from there really. And then you know, Sam got us all involved with the sound cards and cameras, and John Musto helped me set it all up, and then we got involved with the 45 King. So shout out to you, Fat Wax and Rob, because if it was for you guys, you know, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, because I wouldn't have had the I don't know, the drive to do it, because you know, what are you going to do? Coffee and Donuts is the best Saturday morning show out there, man. That's why it's won an award, you know, and it's put a lot of people on the map.
I mean, it's
Sam's had me playing at the Mulberry Bar.
Yeah,
Sam's had me playing at the Mulberry Bar. What else, man? I did my own event, the 45 Vibe one, me, DJ Fade, and Mr. Musto. But I mean, you know, there's like Mr. Musto's been a great help. Sam's kicked my butt a few times. You've done it. Yeah, quite a few other people.
We've had Edinburgh as well. You know,
you know,
there was like, you know, the Swindon thing. You know, we're going to see each other on Saturday again. Hopefully, at Swindon. Which is going to be fun. But big up John Musto. He's coming as well, I believe, on Saturday. John is the next guest on my podcast, which is going live. Shameless plug here, going live in about 2-3 hours time. And so it's 7 questions. I've asked him 7 questions. You're on it as well. We just haven't quite got to your show yet, Double P. It's the same 7 questions, and they answer, and then they record a special mix for me, and then they ask me 7 questions and do that. So yeah, if you're into your podcast, that'll be on Mixcloud tomorrow, and also on all the podcasts and things. So definitely check that out. That's provided by Livecast FM, who are going to be quite interesting in what we do. And yeah, there might be a raid train happening soon for them. But, you know,
I remember once actually going back to Sam, when I played at the Mulberry Bar and I played 45s, I said to him, what am I going to do if I need a loo? And he went, play a 12. I'm like, I ain't got any 12s. So he left me one of his 20. He left me a bag of 12s on the floor. He goes, there you go, mate. So I played one. I managed to go outside, go to toilet, have a fag, come back, and it's still playing. I'm thinking, yep.
You went to the toilet and had a fag and still went back. Was it like? Were you playing it on 33?
Oh yeah. I played it on 33. It was all right. It was a 45 on 33.
On that point, obviously I've been involved with slow-mo a little bit longer, not much longer, but a little bit longer you. And then I suddenly saw that you were on Slow-Mo Monday, and I was like, wow, Double P's doing slow-mo stuff now. So talk to me about that. Why do you like the slow-mo stuff?
It's different, isn't it? It's something different, and it changes a record. It complete. I mean, some records saying slower, oddly. So you can play a lot of dubstep, you can play a lot of rave, and it sounds completely different to what it would do at 45. And some of it does sound better. So I got quite hooked on it, and then I got raided by Immaculate. He brought 45 people in, they all bugged off.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It was funny, man. They were like, what is this?
Yeah, I'm not sure DJ Immaculate's crowd are necessarily into the slow-mo. Maybe some of them.
No, it's a niche thing again. It's a niche with a niche, isn't it?
It's a niche. Like so we're DJs, which are niche. We're 45s DJs, which is niche. We play 45s at the non-recommended speed, which is even more of a niche. So niches for niches. I don't know. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Funny.
And, you know, slow-mos, I really enjoyed playing on slow-mo and being quite creative with it and finding sort of spaces and sounds and stuff. So I've loved it, and it's just going to carry on for me. Here we go. Sam tweets. So many niches, you feel like a great uncle. Yes.
Yeah, man.
On that note, Double P, other than your 3 raid trains this week, tell us what else you've got coming up in the next sort of week or so, and I'll find someone to raid to.
I'm back on Check the Technique and with J1 on next Tuesday. I think I'm on Raiders Wednesday, but I'm not sure. I can't find the spreadsheet. So, you know, I'm a bit technically not really there, to be fair. But I think that's it for next week. And then I'm back on it again the week after, and I might do a pop-up. I don't know yet. We'll see. I got to get some more 45s anyway. That's definitely what I got to get.
You say you're going to get more 45s?
Yeah. I get bored of them. I get bored. I get so bored.
You did.
I was playing some tonight.
You said the thing is when you get you said this the other day. You said when you get a record and then you don't play it for a while and then you put it back on again, it doesn't have the same impact as it did when you first got it.
No.
Well, that's true, but that means you'd only ever play any record like once or twice before you then move on to them. Is that what you do? Play once or twice?
Well, I play mixed genre sets, don't I? So I can diversify and play different stuff. But a lot of stuff I've got in my crates, I'd probably never play again. I don't know why, but I just don't. I get bored. I don't know. I mean, I got this one come through the post today, which is that one there, which is a banger. Stan played on the stream. That one there. Watch, unbelievable. I got a load from DJ One of a Kind as well.
Nice.
So they're bangers as well.
Sam
good
says,
bangers.
snap 'em.
DJ One of a Kind's got some good stuff on Discogs.
He has. I bought some stuff. Snap them at the end of each second play, says Sam. Right. It's been amazing. We're going to go and see
Yeah,
DJ
like that.
Criztoz. Thank you, Double P. Thank you, AD. Thank you also to Matt Baila. I'll see some of you on Saturday. Otherwise, I'll see you on the streams on Coffee and Donuts on Saturday morning, if not before. Take it easy, and we're out.
Peace.